I, 25F, and my BF Harris, 26 meters, have been dating for about a year and a half. We met through mutual friends at an art gallery opening. When we first met, he had just broken up with his ex Kelly, 24F, 2 weeks before. He was very upfront about this when we started talking and told me they had ended things mutually and blocked each other everywhere. I was hesitant at first because of how recent the breakup was, but Harris was so charming and convincing when he told me he was completely over her and ready to move on. Some background about our relationship: Harris is a successful contemporary artist who specializes in mixed media installations. He has regular art shows every couple of months and has built quite a following on social media over the past few years. His work has been featured in several prestigious galleries in our city, and he's known for his unique style that combines traditional painting with digital elements. When we first started dating, everything seemed perfect. He was attentive, caring, and made me feel like the most special person in the world. He would leave little sketches for me to find in my bag, and he even painted a beautiful portrait of me for my birthday. We moved in together after 6 months because we were practically living at each other's places anyway. His family, especially his sister Diana, 28F, welcomed me with open arms. My parents, who are usually skeptical about artists because of their unstable careers, absolutely adored him after seeing how successful and responsible he was. About Kelly, she's also an artist but works mainly with photography and digital art. She's not as successful as Harris, but she has her own small following. They dated for 3 years before breaking up, and their relationship was pretty serious. According to Harris, they split because they wanted different things in life. She had received an opportunity to move to Paris for her art career, while he wanted to stay here where he had already established himself. He told me they had both agreed it was better to end things cleanly rather than try long distance. I never had any issues with her until recently, although I'd never actually met her in person. The problem started about 3 months ago when I discovered that Harris and Kelly had only unfollowed each other instead of blocking each other like he claimed. I found this out by accident when I was using his phone, with his permission, to order food, and a notification from her popped up. She had commented on his latest artwork saying how much she loved the new direction he was taking and how it reminded her of his earlier work. It wasn't anything inappropriate, but it bothered me that he had lied about blocking her. When I confronted him about it, he seemed surprised that I was upset. He said he didn't think it was a big deal and that they occasionally interacted on social media because they share mutual friends in the art community. He explained that completely blocking her would have been awkward since they often get invited to the same gallery openings and art events. He promised to be more transparent about their interactions in the future. I wasn't completely happy about it, but I decided to trust him because everything else in our relationship was going so well. Things were fine for a few months until last week when I discovered something that completely shook my trust in him. I was cleaning our apartment while Harris was at his studio, and I noticed that his desk was particularly messy. While organizing it, I found a sketchbook that had fallen behind the desk. When I picked it up to put it back, several Polaroid photos fell out. My heart stopped when I saw what they were: recent photos of Harris and Kelly at various cafes and art galleries. They looked very comfortable with each other in the photos, sitting close together and laughing. The dates on the photos showed that they were from the past 3 months, which meant he had been meeting her secretly throughout this time. I confronted Harris when he got home. At first, he tried to downplay it, saying they were just catching up as friends and discussing art. But when I pressed him about why he had hidden these meetups from me, he admitted that he and Kelly had been meeting regularly to discuss art and their careers. He said he didn't tell me because he knew I would overreact since I had been weird about their social media interactions. What really hurt was finding out that Kelly has been showing up to his private art sessions, something he hosts for selected artists twice a month at his studio. These sessions are exclusive, and artists have to be personally invited by Harris to attend. He never mentioned to me that Kelly was part of these sessions, even though I had specifically asked him to let me know if they ever met in person. He tried to justify it by saying it was purely professional and that Kelly is still part of his art circle. His sister Diana has always told me that I'm the best thing that ever happened to Harris and that Kelly was toxic for him. According to Diana, Kelly used to manipulate Harris into doing things her way and would throw tantrums if she didn't get her way. She would allegedly use her mental health as a way to control him, threatening to harm herself if he didn't do what she wanted. This makes me even more concerned about them meeting secretly. I packed a bag and went to stay with my best friend Amy, 25F. She thinks I'm right to be upset and says that Harris's behavior is suspicious. Harris has been calling and texting constantly since I left, saying he'll cut contact with Kelly if that's what I want, but I don't know if I can trust him anymore. He sent me long messages explaining how Kelly is just a friend now and how he never meant to hurt me, but all I can think about is how easily he lied to me for months. Some of our mutual friends think I'm overreacting. They say that it's natural for exes to remain friends, especially in close-knit communities like the art world. But I can't shake the feeling that there's more going on than Harris is admitting to. The secret meetings, the hidden photos, the lies about their contact, it all feels wrong. I feel like an idiot for not seeing the signs earlier. Was I naive to believe him when he said he was over her? Should I have been more suspicious when he lied about blocking her? I've never been the jealous type, and I don't want to be controlling, but this situation has made me question everything. Ida for considering ending our relationship over this? Am I overreacting? I keep going back and forth between feeling justified in my anger and wondering if I'm making too big a deal out of this. Edit. Just to clarify, I've never had issues with Harris having female friends. He has several close friends who are women, and I've never felt threatened by any of them. This is specifically about him lying about meeting his ex. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my original post. A lot has happened during this time, and I needed some space to process everything before updating. I want to thank everyone who commented and offered advice. Reading your responses helped me realize I wasn't overreacting. After staying at Amy's for 5 days, I finally agreed to meet Harris at a neutral location, a cafe we'd never been to before. I didn't want to meet at our apartment because I was afraid I'd get emotional and give in too easily in a familiar setting. Amy waited nearby at another cafe, just in case things went badly. When we met, Harris looked terrible. He hadn't shaved, and it was clear he hadn't been sleeping well. He immediately started apologizing and pulled out his phone, offering to show me all his recent conversations with Kelly. I decided to look through them because I wanted the full truth. While there wasn't anything overtly romantic in their messages, what I found was still disturbing. Their conversations were frequent, sometimes multiple times a day, and very personal. They weren't just talking about art like he claimed. They discussed memories from their relationship, shared inside jokes, and talked about their families. There were messages about how Kelly's mom still asks about him, and how he sometimes misses their Sunday dinners together. It felt like reading conversations between two people who were more than just friends. During our talk, Harris finally confessed something that made my stomach turn. Kelly had kissed him at one of their meetups about a month ago. According to him, they were alone in his studio after everyone else had left an art session. They were looking at some of his old work, pieces he had created while they were together, and she suddenly kissed him. He claims he pushed her away immediately and told her it was inappropriate, but he didn't tell me because he was afraid of how I would react. He said he stopped meeting her one-on-one after that incident but still allowed her to attend his art sessions because it would look unprofessional to exclude her, and he didn't want to create drama in the art community. I was still processing this new information when my phone buzzed. Kelly had somehow found my private Instagram account and sent me a message. Her version of events was very different from Harris's. According to her, Harris had been sending her mixed signals for months. She said that during their meetups, he would often reminisce about their relationship and talk about how much he'd grown since then. She claimed he frequently mentioned missing their relationship and wondering how things could have been different if she hadn't wanted to move to Paris. She sent me screenshots of their conversations that Harris had conveniently deleted from his phone before showing me. In these messages, he had indeed said things like "I miss how we used to be and sometimes I wonder what if." There were also messages about how much he missed her family and their old routines together. In one particularly painful message, he told her that no one understood his art the way she did. When I showed these messages to Harris, his whole demeanor changed. He broke down crying and admitted that he had been confused about his feelings. He said he loves me, but seeing Kelly again had brought up unresolved emotions from their relationship. He swore he never physically cheated beyond the kiss she initiated, but he acknowledged that his behavior was emotionally inappropriate. That's when things got even more complicated. Diana called me out of the blue. Apparently, Kelly had reached out to her as well. Diana was furious with Harris and revealed something that made my blood run cold. This was exactly how his relationship with Kelly had ended. She had caught him maintaining inappropriate relationships with 2 of his previous exes, always under the guise of staying friends and maintaining professional connections. Diana had kept this information from me because she thought Harris had changed and didn't want to ruin our relationship. After Diana's revelation, several people from Harris's art community started reaching out to me. Some defended him, saying I was overreacting and that maintaining connections with exes is normal in their circle. But others shared similar experiences of him being sketchy with boundaries. One woman told me he had done the same thing to her friend, kept his ex around while dating someone new, always blaming it on professional necessity. I'm still staying at Amy's. Harris's art community has basically split into 2 camps. His close friends support him and think I'm being unreasonable. They say I'm trying to control who he can be friends with and that I'm threatening his career by making him cut ties with another artist. But others, especially those who've known him longer, have reached out to share similar stories about his pattern of keeping exes around his backups. Kelly has apparently quit attending his art sessions, but honestly, I don't know if I believe in anything either of them say anymore. Harris keeps sending me long messages about how he'll change and how he'll prove that I can trust him, but Diana's revelation about his past behavior makes it hard to believe him. Amy thinks I should just end things now and move on, but it's not that simple. We live together, we share friends, and our lives are deeply intertwined in the art community. Plus, there's a part of me that still loves him and wants to believe he can change. I'm going to take more time to think about what I want to do. For now, I've told Harris I need space, and I've muted both him and Kelly on social media. I can't deal with seeing their names pop up constantly. I never thought I'd be in this situation. I always prided myself on being understanding about friendships with exes, but this feels different. It's not about them being friends, it's about the lying, the secret meetings, and the emotional intimacy they maintain behind my back. I'll update again when I've figured out what I'm going to do. Thank you all for your support and advice. Note, to those asking about my living situation, I can stay with Amy as long as I need to. She has a spare room and has been incredibly supportive through all of this. Update 2, it's been a month since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected and honestly devastating turn. I thought I had uncovered all of Harris's lies, but I was wrong. There was so much more beneath the surface. Last week, I finally went back to our apartment to collect more of my things. I had texted Harris beforehand to make sure he wouldn't be there because I wasn't ready to face him yet. He told me he would be at an art show in another city for 3 days, so it seemed like the perfect time. When I arrived at the apartment, I heard movement inside. At first, I thought Harris had lied about being away, but when I opened the door, I still had my key. I found Kelly there. She looked just as surprised to see me as I was to see her. When I demanded to know what she was doing in our apartment, she showed me a key and said Harris had given it to her to feed his fish while he was away. Here's the thing, we don't have any fish. We never had any fish. We had talked about getting some when we first moved in together, but we never did. When I pointed this out, Kelly's face changed. She sat down on our couch and just started crying. What she told me next made me feel like my whole world was crumbling. She and Harris had never actually stopped seeing each other during those 2 weeks before he met me. Their public breakup was staged because Kelly had gotten an opportunity to study at a prestigious art school in Paris for 6 months. They thought a clean break would be easier than trying to maintain a long-distance relationship, especially since they had already tried that once before when Kelly had a 3-month residency in New York. The plan was for them to get back together when she returned from Paris. They had even discussed her moving into his apartment, the same apartment I now shared with him. But during those 2 weeks, Harris met me at that gallery opening. According to Kelly, he told her he had unexpectedly developed feelings for me and wanted to explore where things could go. Kelly was devastated when she came back from Paris and found out about us. But Harris had convinced her to keep their original relationship timeline a secret. He promised her they would remain special friends and that maybe someday, when the timing was right, they could try again. He kept telling her that what we had wasn't as deep as their connection, that I didn't understand his art the way she did. I called Diana immediately after Kelly left, needing to know if any of this was true. Diana broke down and admitted she knew parts of it but not everything. She knew about the staged breakup but thought Harris had genuinely chosen to move on with me. She had no idea he had been stringing Kelly along this whole time. Diana also revealed more about Harris's past relationships. Apparently, this was his pattern. He kept all his exes around his backups, telling each one she was special and different from the others. He would maintain these connections under the guise of professional networking, always leaving the door open for possible reconciliation. What makes me feel even more stupid is that there were signs I had missed. The way he would get defensive about his phone. How he always had work meetings that ran late on certain days. The fact that he insisted on keeping a small studio apartment as his workspace even though we had plenty of room in our apartment for a studio. Kelly showed me years' worth of messages between them. Even during the Paris period, they had never really stopped communicating. She shared their video call logs, showing regular late-night conversations that happened while I was asleep in the next room. There were emails about their future plans and how they just needed to wait for the right time. I feel physically sick thinking about how I was living my life, planning a future with someone who had been maintaining a whole separate emotional relationship behind my back. Every time he said he was working late at his studio, every business trip, every art show, I now question everything. The worst part is that some of our mutual friends knew pieces of this story but never said anything. They thought it wasn't their place to interfere, or they believed Harris when he said he was just maintaining professional connections. I haven't confronted Harris yet. He's still at his art show, probably thinking everything is fine. Kelly promised to send me copies of all their communications before I decide what to do next. She says she wants to make things right, but I don't know if I can trust her either. After all, she knew about me and still maintained this relationship with him. I'll update again once I figure out how to handle this situation. Right now, I'm just trying to process the fact that my entire relationship was built on lies. Update 3, final update. 2 months have passed since everything blew up, and I wanted to share how things finally ended. Honestly, the aftermath has been both devastating and liberating. After my last update, I decided to confront Harris. I waited until he returned from his art show and met him at his studio. I chose the studio because I knew it was where he had been meeting Kelly all this time, and I wanted him to feel uncomfortable. I showed him all the evidence Kelly had given me, including their video call logs, emails, and messages. His reaction was exactly what Diana had warned me about. He tried to manipulate the situation. First, he claimed Kelly was lying and had fabricated the evidence. When I pointed out that Diana had confirmed everything, he switched tactics and started crying, saying he was lost and confused about his feelings. He even tried to blame his behavior on the emotional intensity of being an artist and how normal people couldn't understand the deep connections artists form with each other. What he didn't expect was for Kelly to post a long statement on social media the next day. She exposed their entire history, including screenshots of their conversations where he talked about keeping me in the dark. She also revealed how he had manipulated both of us, telling her they had a future while promising me I was the only one who mattered. The fallout in the art community was immediate and intense. Several other women came forward with similar stories about Harris. 2 of his previous girlfriends shared how he had kept them as backups while dating other people, always using his art career as an excuse to stay in touch. One woman even revealed that he had been seeing her during his early days with Kelly. His art career has taken a significant hit. 3 galleries have canceled his upcoming shows, citing personal conduct concerns. Many artists have withdrawn from his private sessions, and his social media following has dropped considerably. He tried to do damage control by posting a public apology, but it backfired spectacularly when people found inconsistencies between his statement and the evidence Kelly had shared. I've blocked Harris on every platform possible. I had to change my phone number because he kept calling from different numbers, leaving long voicemails about how he's going through a spiritual awakening and needs time to find himself. According to Diana, he's now claiming that this whole experience is inspiring new art pieces about love, loss, and redemption. She says he's planning a new series based on our relationship, but thankfully, the galleries aren't interested. Kelly reached out to apologize again, saying she wants to make amends. She offered to help me recover my belongings from the apartment, but I told her I needed space from everyone involved in this mess. Diana helps me stay updated about necessary things, and apparently, Harris is now dating someone new, another emerging artist from his circle. Diana says it's already following his usual pattern. The art community has been surprisingly supportive of me. A different art collective, one that has no connection to Harris or Kelly, invited me to join their events. Some of them had apparently had similar experiences with artists using their professional network to maintain inappropriate relationships. I've moved into my own apartment now. It's small but it's mine, and there are no memories of Harris here. Sometimes I miss the relationship I thought I had, but then I remember it was all built on lies. Every happy memory is tainted by the knowledge that he was maintaining his relationship with Kelly the whole time. Some people have suggested therapy, but right now, I'm finding peace in my work and friends. Amy has been incredible through all of this, and my other friends have really stepped up to support me. I'm focusing on healing and rebuilding my life. I've learned valuable lessons about trust and boundaries, and I'm taking time to focus on myself before even thinking about dating again. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. Your comments helped me stay strong when I was doubting myself. And to those who are in similar situations, trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I won't be updating again. This chapter of my life is finally closed.